Have you been looking for a permanent solution to eliminate your back pain from your daily life? Do you feel like you're stuck in this pain cycle and you feel like you've tried everything? Big three, hip glides, press ups, daily stretching routines, nerve flossing, but the pain just seems to come back after a few hours. Maybe you get some relief for most of the day and you just feel like you're stuck. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why you are stuck in a pain cycle. And I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to get out of this cycle and start permanently eliminating your pain from your daily life. Okay, so the first thing to understand is pain itself. Now, pain is an alert signal. It's an internal alert signal that's indicating that there is internal damage happening. Okay, and so this is the body protecting itself. This is the body teaching you to stop doing something that the body just can't do. And if you think about that, the body is telling you that you're too tight or you're too weak to do something. And so this is important because it is a symptom. Pain is a symptom of the body not being able to do something. Right? Okay. And so the first thing to understand is pain itself. And so pain is an internal alert signal that indicates internal damage, internal harm, internal injury. And this is the body protecting itself from you doing something that it literally can't handle. And so this pain teaches you that certain things will cause the body harm. And so the body is trying to tell you to stop doing the thing so you stop injuring and stop making the problem worse. And so when you think about it for a second, pain is, the objective of pain is to keep the body where it is relatively strong, right? And strong is safe. Keeping the body in a strong state is safe. Right? And so the goal is to really avoid being in positions that are tight and weak, because those generally cause pain. And so what's really amazing is when you think about it just a little bit more, you can say, okay, pain is a symptom of something. And if the general cause of pain is the body cannot do something, or the body is not able to carry out a movement, then you can say, okay, well, the body is too tight or too weak to carry out the task, or both. Well, what's amazing is tightness is a symptom of weakness. So tightness really is just weakness in a flexible position. If pain is a symptom of tightness and weakness, and tightness is a symptom of weakness, all we're left with is weakness. And so pain, the root cause that is causing pain is weakness. When we bring that weakness up, when we bring it up and make that weakness stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, we see the pain slowly decrease and decrease and decrease. What's awesome is doing certain exercise that strengthen the right things, you will actually see a lot of relief when you do the thing. And then that relief might taper off a little bit after the workout, but you'll start, as that thing becomes a little bit stronger, you'll see that pain slowly decrease. And then that's going to start to give you, a little bit of energy, a little bit of hope. And man, once you get there, you're going to be unstoppable, and you're going to be permanently eliminating your back pain from your daily life, and it's going to be awesome. And so all we have to do is build strength to get out of back pain. That's all we got to do. And another aspect of it is we need to expand our strength. And so what that means is our strength may be here, right? But we can move here. The only issue is getting from here to here is we're super tight, super weak, and our body causes pain before we can get there, to prevent injury, to prevent damage and harm and all those things. So when we start here, we just need to take whatever is generally weak and just strengthen, 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 okay? And then we expand our strength just a little bit. Expand our strength, expand our strength. And this is building strength in a flexible position. Building stretch, strength, okay? And so we keep expanding and expanding and expanding as we're building strength as well. And you just continue and continue and continue and keep adding pennies to the jar, keep adding 1% every single day. And eventually you're gonna be as flexible as you are strong. You're gonna be able to move using your range of motion that you had, in your 20s if you're older than 20. It doesn't matter if you've had back pain for 4 days or 4 years or 40 years. It's all the same. It's all the same. The simple truth is that you are too weak and too tight to be able to do whatever you want to do in your life. It's that simple. Or whatever you have to do in your life. Some things you have to do, but it causes pain, and it's just you just have this fear of it every single day. It's something that you have to face, and that's so hard. I remember going to work with waking up and just intense back pain and just being, oh crap, I gotta go to work today. Like, I know that feeling, and it's not a good one. But understanding why you're still in pain is so important, and this is exactly why. It's because you're weak. And what's amazing is that if you're weak, you have the potential to get out of pain. So all we have to do is turn that weakness into strength and expand strength, and our pain will slowly start to decrease as the strength starts to expand, right? So that's what I'm going to teach you today, the basics behind that. Now there are going to be a few different nooks and crannies that may cause a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of pain, but those I'll cover in the future, okay? And another thing that's worth bringing up is if you're experiencing any pain during, right after, or even up to a week after doing these exercises, you did too much for your back to handle, right? And it's the same thing as experiencing back pain in your daily life, simply doing too much for your body to handle. And so if that happens, take some time to recover and come back and go at a lighter level, or do a little bit less than you did last time, okay? Find that sweet spot where you get those muscles working and you don't experience any additional pain afterwards. And if you are somebody who is in constant pain, these exercises shouldn't add to your pain. And so this is the concept of working through pain. We don't want to do that. Your pain should at the very minimum stay the same, but you should see improvement over time. You should see that pain reducing, okay? And so with that said, let's start confronting these areas. Most likely, the most important area that you need to address is the lower spine and the back of the hip, okay? And so we can do that starting with the back extension. Start with holding this top position, using it as much assistance as you need to, working towards being able to hold this top position with the body in a straight line for 2 minutes, okay? Once this becomes easy, then you can progress to one leg at a time, starting with assistance and then working towards holding for 1 minute at a time. These two objectives are going to lay a solid foundation of back strength and get those muscles working and bring a lot of blood flow and healing to the area. And once you are able to, once those two objectives feel good, you feel good with those 2 minutes with 2 legs, 1 minute with 1 leg on each side, then you can start incorporating some movement, doing some reps, okay? Increasing your range of motion as it feels good, and with the goal of doing full reps by tucking the chin, pausing in the bottom, and then leading up with your head. Tuck the chin, pause, lead up with your head, okay? For 2 legs, a great goal to work towards is being able to do 30 reps. Then once 30 reps is easy, you experience no pain afterwards, then you can progress to single leg. Again, you can start with assistance, only using as much range of motion as is comfortable and working towards those full reps. The objective for single leg is getting to 20 reps on each side. And while you are working on the first objectives, you're working on the holds, okay? We can bridge the gap between doing full reps and holding that top position with the elephant walk, okay? And what's amazing with the elephant walk is you can lay something in front of you so you have assistance. And so if bending forward causes pain for you, you may be able to bend forward without any pain, using something to assist yourself, using something to take the load off of your spine and handle the weight of your body. And so find an entry point where you don't experience any pain. Elephant walk is bending both knees, then straightening one knee at a time into a hamstring stretch. Okay, once this becomes easy, then we can start progressing, lowering the elevation of the hands just a little bit lower. Once this is easy, okay, progressing further and further until you can do palms to the floor and get both of your legs flexed. So that's going to be a really important foundation for the Jefferson curl, okay? This is going to work on deeper levels of rounding. So the Jefferson curl is starting with the chin, round from the top of the spine, stretching through every single vertebrae into a hamstring stretch, and then come up nice and slow. And what's awesome about this is you can use assistance in the bottom for this one as well. So starting in the top, you can round, and use that assistance to take some load off in the bottom, because those hamstrings in that bottom position may be very sensitive, very tight starting out. Okay, and the goal is to use little weight at a time. So don't start with 45 pounds, start with 5 pounds, but the goal is to get to a weight that feels really good. And as you become stronger, a heavier weight is going to feel better. Again, starting by tucking the chin about here, I'm experiencing a big stretch through the middle of the spine, then lower spine, then into those hamstrings, and then slowly pull the weight back up using those stretched muscles, making sure not to avoid those back muscles on the way up. So those 3 exercises, the back extension, the elephant walk, and the Jefferson curl, are going to lay your foundation for the back of the hip and the lower spine. Now, it's also important to build the ability to resist rounding. So yes, it's important to have the ability to round wherever you would like, but it's also important to be able to resist rounding, okay? And so the first limiter of that is those inner thigh muscles. These can be very tight and very weak. And if you think about it, when you go to sit down and these inner thigh muscles are really tight and weak, you'll see some rounding in that lower spine, especially as you get down into a deep squat, right? And so we want that ability to resist rounding, and we don't want any limitations in those inner thigh muscles. So the first exercise to open up those inner thigh muscles is the butterfly. Now, get up next to a wall. The closer your feet are, the more stretch you're gonna have on those muscles. Opening up these muscles makes a huge difference in how you move throughout your day. And so what you're gonna do is allow gravity to pull those knees down into an inner groin, inner hip stretch, and then lift those knees up as high as you can using your strength. Stretch, strength. And once this becomes comfortable, you can pull your knees down with those outer hip muscles, or you can add resistance with your hands. And my favorite is adding some weight onto your knees, letting them rest there. Stretch, strengthen. stretch, strengthen. Okay, and that's gonna really introduce some stretch and some strength in those inner thigh muscles to really set you up to work on resisting rounding. Okay, now as those inner thigh muscles begin to open up, we can start working on the spine's ability to resist rounding. Now I believe that you should be able to use a significant amount of weight doing this exercise, and it should be really easy, okay? And the way to get there is to start by using your body weight. Doing high reps. I recommend working towards doing 20 or 25 reps. This is gonna lay a good foundation. And if you are pretty stiff, you can use the incline of the bench to stop you short. Think to get your belly button to contact the bench before everything else, because if the chest or the chin touches the bench first, that'll probably mean that you're rounding the spine. And in the seated good morning, the goal is to resist rounding at all times. So belly button to the bench and back up. And so the incline bench is a great tool to use to track your mobility progress. Okay. The reason that these muscles are so tight and so weak is because they're hardly ever used. Right? Most people are sitting anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a day and up to 10 hours a day. And that just wreaks havoc on these thigh muscles. Okay. It also makes the front of the thigh and the outer thigh muscles extremely tight and weak also. I bet you've been stretching the crap out of your hip flexors and you've been spamming piriformis stretches if you have been dealing with chronic back pain for a long time. And that's not the way to go. You need to remember that tightness is a symptom of weakness. And so we need to strengthen those muscles so that we can start to expand their strength and then expand their flexibility and strength at the same time. That's going to open up those muscles and keep them open rather than them tightening back up as almost an hour to 2 hours after you stretched them, right? And you'll notice that's so much relief in these muscles just by strengthening them alone. And so for the hip flexors, we can start with the hip flexor raise, and this will lay a foundation of strength in those hip flexors. So starting with one leg out, raise your knee as high as you can. And now this may be really sensitive to start because those hip flexor muscles connect directly to the lower spine. And so any range of motion is good, okay? Just make sure that it doesn't cause any pain. Goal is to safely burn out those hip flexor muscles to bring blood flow to the lower spine and slowly build their strength. But the goal is to get your knee above your hip for 20 reps, okay? Once you can do that, you can start adding weight by strapping a weight to your foot using a monkey foot or something like this. And same thing, getting the knee above the hips. And I like 20 reps. Sometimes I'll go heavier and do 12 reps, but being able to do 20 reps with just your body weight is going to be a great start to get some movement in the lower spine and start to lay a foundation of strength. Then we can expand our strength and increase our stretch strength using the ATG split squat. Okay, we can start using it in elevation anywhere from 12 to 24 inches high. Use something with assistance. A folding chair works great. Stairwell works great. Okay, start by getting comfortable in this bottom position, squeezing that back leg as straight as you can. Okay, once you become comfortable here, you can start doing reps into that bottom position, getting as deep as you can and pushing through your toes. Once that becomes easy, then you can lower the elevation of the front foot and until you are able to easily do them on flat ground, okay? And the goal is to cover that front calf with the hamstring and keep that back knee off of the ground. And that's really important because once the back knee touches the ground, then this just becomes a stretch, right? So my entire body weight is sitting on top of those hip flexors, which is opening them up and strengthening them because they have to handle my body, okay? So in this bottom position, they are loaded, they are strengthening, and that's really important to expand your strength. Now, lastly, we have the couch stretch, which is a wonderful finishing touch for the hip flexors. And I don't care where you do this stretch or how. You can do this on the edge of a couch. You can do it using an inclined bench or up against the wall. And so the most important thing with this stretch is that you squeeze the living daylights out of your butt. And I mean intently squeezing the entire minute, okay? In this position, you might already feel a stretch. If you do, squeeze your butt. Just focus on that the entire minute. And so you should feel a light stretch at whatever level that you're working on. From this position, work on being able to get this other leg up. Okay, that's gonna intensify the stretch. Then from here, you're gonna work trying to get your body upwards, making sure to squeeze your butt. It's gonna be very important in getting those hip flexors stretched, okay? Then once you become comfortable in this position, I like to think to kick the wall. That's gonna start to build strength in this position. Kick the wall, kick the wall, kick the wall while you squeeze your butt, and that's gonna get you the best results. Now, the piriformis and the outer hip muscles are honestly pretty simple. Now, if you are stretching and stretching and stretching these muscles, you need to take a break because that's not helping. We need to focus on building strength in these muscles before we can start expanding our strength and building stretch strength. So starting in this 90-90 position, we're gonna work on 3 exercises back to back to back for 30 seconds each with no rest in between. And so start by lifting the back heel, driving it to the ceiling, starting to activate those muscles. And then once you hit that 30 seconds, then you're gonna lift your knee, okay? And now this is gonna activate even more muscles and it can become really crampy up here. So if it is, you can lean to the side and this is gonna make it a little bit easier so you can keep working these muscles, okay? So once your 30 seconds here is up, then drop to your elbow, extend your foot out. Again, driving your heel to the ceiling, really burning out those outer hip muscles, okay? Once you're finished, do the other side, and the goal, again, really burn out those muscles. And once you lay a good foundation with that, then you can start building stretch, strengthen those outer hip muscles, that piriformis, by, again, being in the 90-90 position. Then place your hands on either side of the knee, and you're gonna do the piriformis push-up. So lower your chest to the floor, and then push through your knee, using those stretch muscles to push your body back up to build strength in that stretched position in the outer hip muscles. I like 20 reps on each side. Then you can progress to my favorite, and this is the bench pigeon. And so you'll start with an incline bench, place your foot in the crease, pin your knee down, and start with assistance. Then you're gonna increase the intensity by moving your back leg backward. Starting here, this is pretty easy for me, but as I move that back leg further back, further back, further back, I get a deeper stretch in the outer hip muscles. And from here, I can work towards being able to handle my body weight for 45 seconds to a minute. And then I can work towards pressing my knee and pushing my body up for 45 seconds to a minute, really squeezing those outer hip muscles. Then once this becomes pretty easy, then you can drop the hip into that stretch and push up, drop and push up. And we're building stretch and strength here. And I like 15 to 20 reps for this one on each side. We've talked about all of the sides below the spine and the lower spine. Now we're gonna talk about the sides of the spine responsible for lateral bending And this muscle that we're gonna target is the QL muscle. It's called the quadratus lumborum. The quadratus lumborum is a four-sided muscle on either side of the lumbar spine, and it's responsible for bending sideways and lifting back up, okay? Now, if you've played a sport that involves throwing or swinging a bat or a club or kicking, you're gonna have one side that's much tighter than the other. So for example, right-handers, you're gonna have tightness on the right side, and then lefties, you're gonna have tightness on the left side, okay? Now, before we get into the exercises, this muscle can be very tight and very weak, and it's often very untrained. So the first time you do it, take it easy, and because if you go a little bit too hard, you may be sore for up to 2 weeks. You can start training the QL from a seated position, putting your hands on a bench and leaning to one side, keeping your shoulders in line with your hips, leaning to one side. And then on the way up, you want to use those stretched muscles that you feel. That's a deep stretch on the side, okay, to come back up. Because I can easily just use my shoulders to do this exercise, but that's not going to do me any good. That's not going to build any strength in that muscle. So I want to use that muscle to come all the way up. Once this becomes easy, and you can place an arm overhead, I like anywhere from 12 to 15 reps on each side. You can do as many as 20. And once that becomes easy, you can progress to standing. I like a staggered stance with going towards the leg that's back, placing the other hand on the back of the head, and again, leaning down, searching for that stretch in that side, and then using that muscle to come back up. You can add weight to it if you'd like to get a deeper stretch and build more strength. And then you can also progress to doing this exercise on a back extension by getting in sideways, and then same thing, keeping your shoulders in line with your hips, hand on the back of the head, and then allow the weight of your body to pull you into a stretch, and then use those muscles to come back up. Okay, you can also add weight to it if you'd like in your hand, but getting to 15 reps on the back extension is an exceptional goal to work towards to develop those QL muscles and eliminate issues on the side of the spine. Now, with all of these exercises, it's really important that you do not work through any pain and that you are able to recover from them. So I recommend starting with about one set of each exercise for 3 days a week, gradually increasing the sets over time, making sure that you can recover from that. And then as you become stronger, more flexible, you can lower that depending on your goals, depending on your recovery. I will have all of the specifics of each exercise and the recommendation for sets and reps and how many days per week in the description below. So check that out. I want you to know that I am praying for you through this journey, and I hope that you take these things seriously because they really can get you out of back pain. Thank you for watching, and take care.